Plants, what's up, man?
Hey, DJ, it's good to see you, brother.
Man, it's good to see you. I saw you. It's been a couple months since I met you.
Yes.
One time, and we had a little bit of conversation.
Yes.
And after 5 minutes of conversation, I said, I told you, I remember saying this, I said, don't tell me nothing else.
Yeah, because you want
We're going to get on here and talk about all this stuff.
Yes.
But just so everyone knows, I mean, basically, you have led an interesting lifestyle up until now.
Thank you.
And had a great life. And
Yes,
you've been, you went from oil field to engineering.
That's right.
To working for the FBI.
Special agent of the FBI, yes, sir.
And now you're no longer there anymore,
Yep.
and you're on a mission now.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to talk about, can you walk me through from the beginning all the way to where we're at now?
We just the FBI story. You want me to give you a little bit where I come
Everything,
from?
man. Lead up to it. Let's do it.
I'm a little boy from Cotton Valley, Louisiana. Literally the K through 12 at Cotton Valley. It's a U shape. You go down on one end, you come all the way to the other, 12th grade, and you walk out with a diploma. You know what I'm saying? And I had the greatest time there with the greatest people in the world. It was my island. You know everybody there. Didn't have any resources, though.
Yeah.
Was literally the kid without me doing the uphill both ways. I was on the free lunch program. That'll tell you, ooh, hurting pretty bad.
Yeah.
So my mama, who's an unbelievable part of my life, was, Chris, man, you got to get out of town to do something. I had done the kid, DJ, you'll love this, the kid that had already worked a couple summers underage, you ain't supposed to in the oil field.
Yeah.
So, but I got to, pay some bills. But anyway, so Mama, I was 17 when I graduated, a little bit young, but I wanted to go to the Army, and it was neat to me. And it was something I wanted to do, something God had
Why do you
put on me.
think you want to do that?
Brother,
what was appealing
Yes.
about it?
I'm going to go a lot like DJ. I always wanted, I've never been in MMA like you, brother.
Right, yeah.
But I always wanted to fight, and I've always been a scrapper and a fighter to some degree. Not at your level by any means.
I'm not at
and I would
those
not
levels.
want to get no octagon with you. But I was always a fighter, and there was always something truly, and you very well know about me, it's going to come back around, God and country, know, and family. But and now I don't do that. And I'm sorry, DJ, to the end, but I do God and family, and I don't know about the country right now.
Yeah,
but
I hear you.
And man, I got that opportunity. I was always excited about being in the Army. My recruiter didn't lie to me. I wasn't that guy. Actually, and I'm going to give you some weird thing. Mama signed me in at 17. She cried like a baby, signed me in.
Was it hard to convince her?
No,
So
she
knew you
knew
wanted
this was
to?
an unbelievable opportunity for
Yeah.
me. And it was. DJ, you're not going to get me on the other side. In fact, I'm going to tell you something just really quick that you're going to laugh at. I was at boot camp, and, of course, boot camp is hell.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I don't think today I would sign up to go back to it again. I'm telling you, DJ. I don't know what it would take to get me back. But anyway, I was eating, and we never got 3 meals a day, whatever.
Right.
And somebody was funny. I was like, boys, I put on like 10 pounds. This is pretty good stuff, Anyway, so went from there, man. Early, barely 19. I know this is going to be old for you, DJ, but the Desert Storm, Desert Storm breaks out. Unbelievable God, I'm telling you, man, and I know you might say this is crazy. Bam, I was gone. The Cotton Valley boy got to go to Egypt, go through the Suez Canal, go through the Red Sea, end up in Dubai, and go through, anyway, the Port of Tehran, all this stuff. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq. Neat career. Unbelievable career in the Army that I would never, with unbelievable guys like you that God put in my life that had my back to the day we left. You know what I'm saying? Just unbelievable guy. Had an unbelievable Army career. I just can't say enough about it. We were fighting for the right things at the right time. I don't want to get into the ugly side of it, but that haunts you a little bit. But my point is, got out of the Army, and then I did the little old deal where you done missed, some time straight out of high school, going to college. But my window hadn't shut on me, and I went to Louisiana Tech University. First person in my family to get the traditional college degree, as you called it.
Yep.
And went over there and signed up. And I remember they were like, what do you want to do? And, I don't have a clue, but I signed up for engineering. And then some people that really knew me were like, man, Chris, you're going to be gone in day one. You've never even heard of the word calculus. And I hadn't. And then I just got it somehow. And I never was good. This is going to be hilarious, DJ. I never was good. This is going to be funny at 2 + 2. But you go A plus B plus C plus Y X Z, and I got it. Or then, not now. Well, you got to do that stuff. But anyway, so did that. Got my degree. I worked for just 2 or 3 years as an engineer, and I got a call from the FBI around 2002, and it wasn't long after 9/11, and they said, Chris, man, they were going through some restructuring on not as much law enforcement as we need some diverse degrees. And literally they said, man, you got an Army degree, you've been overseas, you've been in combat, you got an engineering degree now.
Yeah.
And we would like for you to come to work for us. And then I went through it's a very rigorous recruitment process. I went through about 9 months, got hired, went into what I thought was at that time, DJ. All this is going to flip in just the last couple of years. The greatest career I could ever have, man. I got to work. So I go to Little Rock, Arkansas. I worked true. The squad was called VCMO, which means Violent Crimes Major Offenders. Dudes that you would be like, I got to get that guy off the street.
Yeah.
And we bought major dope. I remember I was 3 days in, and I'm getting in the vehicle with one of my best friends ever, still best friend. We made the SWAT team together, first SWAT team, and I'm like, what are we doing today? He'd been there about a year. He's like, dude, we're going to go buy cocaine. I'm like, that stuff's real? I was like, I thought the dudes in Florida, what's Miami?
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice. I'm like, no. He goes, and we went and bought our first ounce. It was just an ounce of cocaine, but I was like,
just an ounce.
Mystified, But no, man.
This is all in Little Rock?
Little Rock.
So what was your... So what was the recruitment process like? Question.
Man,
so they called you and they said, okay, I'm looking for someone that they wanted someone that had a degree, some sort of.
You got to have a degree.
Yeah, some sort of intelligence other than just combat, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the boat. In fact, the day that I got my orders to Quantico, and this was when I'm through with recruitment, that was what the little recruiter said. She goes, Chris, you're in this room because of your Army and your combat experience, and you have an engineering degree, was what she said.
Right, okay.
So, because dudes do this all the time, and you could probably care less. I don't know, DJ, but the worst thing you can do if you're trying to go to the FBI, and I would not suggest that right now, but if you're trying to, and I get it, you're a young man, you've seen the movies, but my point is, the worst thing you can do is get a criminal justice degree. That's horrible.
It's funny because my wife was, she's Army and then directly into law enforcement, and then she got her master's in psychology and criminal justice. Oh
man, yeah. But now psychology's good.
But now she's working on her master's in her MBA with the data analytics. So I was like, I said, shit. Now that you're talking, like the shit they may call her one day, but like,
hey, DJ, you married up. She's a lot smarter
I know, right?
than you, man.
Hell yeah. Tougher too. But what I was going to get at is what I asked you that is like most people on the outside looking in. Okay, on the outside looking in, what did you think you were getting into, and then how did it change when you were in it?
Oh, dude, there is no doubt, and I'm getting older, but there was one movie was what I thought I was getting into. Yeah. Point Blank.
Yep.
Point Break.
Point Break, yeah.
Dude, so I'm surprised you even know that movie, did you?
Yeah.
Yes. So I was wanting to be the surfer that was chasing bank robbers, and I actually, believe it or not, VCMO, because of the violence of a bank robbery, I got to do some true old bank robbery things, which was cool. Man, I'm telling you, I had the glorified career. You were asking about the recruitment, if you don't mind me. So one of the first things you do, you take a test that is just like it's literally like the ACT, meaning from 8 to about noon.
Okay.
And the worst part of it is, and they'll tell you, and I always fell into what they told you. Even in fire instructors, I got to be a fire instructor, but I just went with forget everything you learn and learn what we learned. Right. Oh, they're good, and they were good. But anyway, I showed up for this test. All I had was a pencil, but they don't really tell you what's going on. So you'll see a guy in dressed up to work out or you'll see another person had a satchel full of books and a backpack full of books and a calculator. It's like, but anyway, so
it's kind of like on Men in Black when they go.
It's a little bit like that
when he goes in to take the test. There's all these different people, and then he's the only one that was different.
Yes, and pulling the chair over the side, and not that they don't give it to you, but then do you believe, what you are fixing to do, So I went in there, though, and they told me most of it's a psychology test.
That's what I was going to ask next, yeah.
Almost 80% of it is.
What do you think they're looking for?
Dude, I still to this day.
You think they're looking for someone who's malleable?
To this day, I ain't going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you this, and then I'll tell you what I think. But I don't know. They never should go over these scores again. Never. But I think they were going specific on the psychology with a certain medium on something.
Yeah.
Truth is number one, though.
Yeah.
Truth is number one, because that was the only piece of advice I got. Don't do your answers the way you think they want them, or the first one you'll remember. The fifth one you'll remember. They just rearrange the questions and change them up. The 281, if you're doing that, you're in trouble.
So you got to be honest.
You got to be honest about whether you, like one of them, DJ, I'll give you is, if you walked in on a gas station robbery, would you be a good witness? Would you try to help fight? Would you run?
Yeah, that's a good question. But like, here's my thing. I think it depends on the day for
no,
me. You know what I mean?
You got to have more than that.
Right, yeah.
But that's all they give you.
Yeah, that's all you give you.
And you got to figure out, where you would really. But I went with my heart on where I would be with all of those. And of course, I believe. Now, don't get me wrong. Would you, take a knife out and try to kill the guy?
Yeah.
Now I get you. Yes, if he was hurting people, but.
Right.
That's not the scenario, and I think if you're that they're like, no, we don't want that guy, But but I'm gonna tell you my funny part of it, because I had the engineering degree, but when you get the engineering degree, you never do that crazy math again.
Yeah.
And so I had not done any math, and part of it is a true math test. But they still have the geometry, like get the angle or this. Of course, they had this one on there. You're going to remember one of these, DJ. The train leaves Chicago going 55 miles an hour, blah, 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 blah. And there's another one coming from Detroit. What time? So I thought if I had a chance, it was the math, right? But I hadn't done it so long. I don't know if I answered 4 or 5, and I was like, man, I'm done. Yeah. So I'll go back out to the hall, and this recruiter at the time, her name was Karen Jenkins, and just a joy to be with. But she says, how you doing? And then there's this guy in the room that's got all of his medals. I'd been out of the Army. He's dressed in his Class A's, and he looks awesome. And he's got the chest bowed out, like DJ. And I said, Miss Jenkins. And she's like, yeah. I go, you see that guy over there? She says, yeah. I said, you need to go talk to that guy because I'm done. And she said, well, maybe you did better. And she called me back later and goes, Chris, you did great. So that was the recruiting.
Okay.
Recruiting. Say, now, don't get me wrong, DJ. So you go from that to another test to, hey, meet me at the park, and then do some running and some sit-ups and stuff.
So it's academics first, and then physical.
That test is for, you got to keep passing every time.
But it's all psychological academics, right? So it's academics,
yes,
but underlying psychological tests, and then you go into the training part, physical training.
Yes, and you got to be able to run so fast, much like the Army test that I had been done before.
What's interesting is that you have to qualify physically. I guess you have to. I would say it's got to be more rigorous than just a regular police officer, right?
Oh, it is. Right, it is. Right. And I'm not putting down regular police
officers.
No,
maybe either. But that's a huge thing. But no, it is. It's like where they.
It is. All of it is like, and I'm going to give you the firearms. And don't, there again, law enforcement, local police law enforcement officers are above us. We're not above them. They handle more stuff every day in their communities. They are the bomb, and I love so many of them, and they're my best friends. I was not better than them. But I'll give you an example. They qualify with their guns once a year.
Right.
We qualify 4 times a year.
Yeah. That's where I was going with it.
So it's just, and this is sad because really we don't have the money, but in theory the FBI's got all the money, so we got more money for that kind of stuff.
Right. Because
the locals would spend their budget on just ammunition, where they just send all the ammunition you basically want to the field officers,
Yeah.
So yes, though, we have to pass a physical test every year.
Right.
And this is nothing against law enforcement officers. I wouldn't want no part of them fighting.
Right.
But they don't after they get out
that's
of
That's why I was bringing it. That's why I wanted, because we've had that conversation on here, and my wife bitches about it all the time because she stays in shape.
Yes, sir.
But like we've had that conversation on here with other people and people I've talked to, and your side is work for government, whatever it may be. That there's an issue there. But either way, so moving forward, y'all were, so you get through all the recruitment, and then you're 2 days in. With
3 days in,
with your buddy,
DJ,
and y'all go buy some cocaine. So what happens? Tell me what happened.
Oh no, it was just, man, it was the first time I had seen a real buy. We got a source at the time. Sometimes you do it with sources. Most of the time you do it with what we call sources.
What division?
Some people,
you were at What'd you say?
I was at Little Rock this time.
What was the name of the
VCMO, Violent Crime Major Offenders.
Gotcha.
And it was the greatest squad, and half the squad was on the SWAT team. So I get there, much like you, DJ. Those are the boys at the big table, Yeah. So, but we went out and did a deal, bought it, recorded everything, and I'm like, so I am getting to do Point Break to some degree. I'm like, greatest thing in the world. And I got that, and I'm not skipping ahead, DJ, but I got that for another 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Not long after that, made it's all FBI SWAT teams, but each office has their own. I made the Little Rock FBI team. Got to go to Quantico and train with HRT, which is the hostage rescue team, which is really the national, FBI team, and they're phenomenal. They just get more. They get more training. They do. So they don't work cases. They train every day for SWAT, and they are really, really good. DJ, but and they're so cool. They have a warehouse up there, and you stop me because me.
No, go for it.
They have a warehouse, a huge warehouse, and it's got walls that will move, so you can rearrange it into different houses.
Gotcha.
And I'm talking about the whole thing: move walls, or up in the air is an airplane hung up, so you can train on airplane stuff if you want. But with the FBI, man, that's another cool part, and I'm just going to give you this one at Little Rock. And I know it's not the Dallas airport, but the Little Rock, National Airport. Hey, we're going to shut down the left side, and FBI SWAT gets to come in and train all day. And it's just you don't get that at the local.
Well, my question is, how many agents do you think are deployed per state?
How many agents does the FBI have per state?
Yeah,
is that what you get?
Yeah.
So, man, like a state like Louisiana is one of the smallest states.
Right.
Little Rock, Arkansas is the smallest field office. Louisiana is right there beside it. So they might have 200 agents for the whole state. But nationwide, which New York's going to have a bunch of agents, of course, thousands of agents. Man, there's just
so much
more population, more crime.
Travel and
it's close to Washington D.C., so then you start getting the spy stuff going on. Lots of different squads doing different things, or for sure New York City, the white collar, the big banks,
Yeah.
So you just got to have more and more and more people.
Okay.
And so they send a lot of agents. When you're at Quantico and you graduate about 8 weeks in, they have a night where they give you your orders. And we joke and say it's some drunk monkeys down in the basement just throwing your name at a map. Because it makes no rhyme or reason. Literally, I'm going to give you two in my class. A dude from Connecticut goes to San Diego.
Huh.
A dude from San Diego goes to Connecticut. But in theory, they're supposed to be looking at what's that guy good at?
Right.
What do we need in San Diego? And they throw out the where you're from. I don't care where you're from,
right,
And then there's no swapping around. But in the class, at that time, and I'm going to tell you, DJ, I love that specific rule. You got to take big boy rules.
Right.
Yeah, and they went over that many times. You got to take what you get. And I got Little Rock. But if you were in the class and you got New York, they walked up to you and gave you an apple, man. And of 32 of us they start with 50, graduated with about 32. 8 to 10 people got the apple. You know what I'm saying?
So you said it started with 50, you graduated with 30, so 18 people didn't make the cut.
Didn't make it. And
for what reasons?
Dude, almost always.
Psychological?
Not psychological, but so it's an MBA program.
Okay.
While you're doing Army stuff, and man, let me I'm telling you, you're gonna have to tell me to move on.
No, you're good. No,
but you're up there. You're up there, and then I seen it. I had a dude that has masters from Harvard in financial, whatever. I'm not good at those terms, but he's brilliant. He's a little bitty guy, but he's brilliant. He can run all day, and he was a good shot when we got to doing all that. But when they went, part of the time you're going to be drill sergeant, MBA program with basic training.
Okay.
So when we went the first time for the basic training part down to the gym, and we didn't even get to the gym, it was outside basic training stuff. They were running around hollering at us. He had never seen that. He freaked out. And when we finally get back to the
how do you freak out?
Dressing room. That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
He was sitting down. Like that 1,000-yard stare. And I know so there was 3 or 4 of us that had been in the military in there, and we were just it wasn't near as bad as basic training. You know what I'm getting at? Plus I'm a lot older and all this stuff, but it wasn't that bad physical either. But anyway, and he looks up at me. He goes, "Chris, was that what Army life's like? And I go, man, buddy, that really wasn't that bad. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But he did, of course. He did, man.
So it's just, I guess that rigorous part of it, some people didn't make it through.
Truthfully, that's what I was going to say, DJ, and I apologize. I get off
you're good.
About two of them of the, what did I give you, the 18 or something?
Yeah.
Didn't make the
grades.
They don't make the grades.
Gotcha.
About two of them, it was physical. About two of them, it's firearms. Firearms will freak some people out that have never
makes sense.
Never shot before.
It's hard for me to contemplate that, but
no, I know.
I grew up around it. So
I know.
If you grew up around it, you don't understand people not getting it.
About two of them literally gonna get hurt. About two of them, one of them rang the bell, and then the others, it's the switching from literally fighting. Not that we would fight like you and Emmy, but we would fight, and they would try to teach us some guard and blah blah blah. But you went from that to taking a legal test.
Right.
Can you do that, DJ? You know what I'm saying?
So
you could. There's nothing you can't do. But
you need to be well-rounded.
You got to be well-rounded. But back to the shooting, because I got to be a firearm instructor at Quantico for a little while, and I got to see it from the other side, and it's so cool. But they'll say on number one day, who in here has never shot before? So when I went to the Army, they did the same thing, and you'll have one or two hands out of 50, right? When we do that, when they did that at Quantico, over half the class will raise their hand. Never shot a gun
That's
before.
crazy. I guess because they want the academics too. Yeah,
they want the academics, and then you get a lot of people from the Northeast.
Right.
They don't even believe
access,
in guns or have access. And then this last thing, Jonah, because I got it when they taught it to me. Why those people have so much problems is, me and you never think about this, but there's a violent explosion going on in front of your face. Yeah. Me and you never even think about that.
Explosion.
But them people, they're thinking about that violent explosion going off, you know.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I remember being young and somewhat nervous, but I was more nervous about the gun kicking me because I was shooting a big-ass gun. It wasn't
DJ.
It wasn't because it was the shooting part,
yes.
I guess because you grew up knowing that's what you're going to do, I guess. So, all right, so go through all that. You're buying drugs.
Yeah.
Start buying drugs.
Yes.
How long what does that look like? So, because my thing is like, we got to air out some of this because people are like,
all cool.
People look and watch TV so much. I want to know how much accuracy there is there, like relatable to the television part. The series, the shows and stuff. You see,
Dude,
we're like,
my wife tells me all the time, Chris, you ruined my show. Don't watch it. Yes.
Yeah, because it's not accurate, right?
No, it's not.
But you're doing a lot of undercover stuff when you start.
Well, no, not really. You got to get up and have some serious time behind you, some serious experiences behind you before they'll let you do some undercover. And I did get to do.
Well, you're going to buy. Undercover. So what are you just posing as someone?
No. So what you do, and this is really hard. In fact, it's one of the hardest jobs in the FBI. You got to get a dude to work for you. And proverbial. I hate this term, but it's a snitch, a rat. Yeah. But these are, man, DJ, and you know me with the God and Jesus stuff. These are good people,
right? That
have fallen on hard times. Now, I'm not giving them excuses. They've made hard decisions. Yes. They've made different decisions. One of them told me one day, "Hey, Chris, you're going to love this." He goes, "Chris, you grew up, I can tell from your speech, down in the country, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you think anything about game laws?" Mm-mm. Yeah. He says, "My dad, I grew up, and I was on that floor, and he's cooking crack on that oven right there, and his boys are coming by. Do you think I think anything about drug law?"
Right.
No.
Exactly.
He was dead on. But he worked for me, of course. So in those people, I've always thought, not always, but they got some good in them,
Yeah, because they want to reform. How'd you recruit?
There's a million ways to do it. Some of them, I'm going to give you some things that will freak you out. The first one, I'll just freak you out. Some of them want to do away with the competition.
Okay.
Yep, never thought about that before, though, DJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I got to do away with Pookie.
So I'm going to call.
I'm going to call. I'll do a buy from Pookie. That dude is gone to jail.
Makes sense.
I just took over 6 streets.
Makes
you know
sense.
what I'm saying? Yes.
Okay.
Some of them straight up money. It's just a money thing for them. We do pay sources, So the number one, though, of course, is, and I would do it all the time. Hey, buddy, this is your name. You don't know it, but I've been in your neighborhood. This is what the inside of your house looks like. I'm trying to get you really quick. We're going to have one discussion. I'm fixing to either show back up, in SWAT gear, or you want to work with me for a little bit. And then I usually, DJ, and I'm not trying to say nothing about me and my demeanor.
Right.
Because guys, I'm gonna tell you again, this is the hardest thing for an agent to do is to walk up and convince somebody to work for them, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
They're fixing to put their lives in your hand. And you don't, later on now, they all, with me, brother, I love you, and there used to be this friendship. You spend a lot of time with them. But this is your first deal.
Yeah.
And you're talking about like truth. You're talking about like, do I trust this guy? Is he really telling me the truth? Blah, blah, blah. But I had a huge high percentage of getting these guys. And then what in theory, and it happens sometimes, everything goes perfect. And in theory, when that guy, you do have to take him before a judge. You can't just throw stuff away. And when you get there, that judge says, "Oh man, buddy, you paid your time," or "Hey man, you got a year in jail." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Versus 22 years.
Yeah,
in
still.
jail.
I mean, it's still going to help them regardless.
Yes,
so,
and we always want them to help us more than where they were
on the hook.
Yes. Yeah.
So like how does they give you some intel and say, "Hey, here's a list of individuals." Mm-hmm. And then, how's that work?
Dude,
you have to get the intel yourself?
So look, man, I think I can tell DJ, and I'm just going to throw something out here. I know not this, but the proverbial guy that has to make it is fixing to make it in sales, and he's selling the vacuum cleaners.
Right.
You got to be your guy. Nobody's waking you up in the morning. Okay. Nobody's turning your alarm for you. Nobody's even going, I need you to sell 20 a month or you're fired. At some point, they just call you and go, you're fired.
Okay.
And you're not making any money anyway,
Right.
Dude, that job was what I loved about it. You are your guy or gal.
Right.
You got to figure out who's bad in the community, where you fit in. And don't get me wrong. So I'm sitting with an older agent, DJ, and he goes, "Hey, man, this guy over here, I've never worked him before, but you might want to try to work that guy."
So you go out. So, I mean, how does the field training work, though?
You talking about the Quantico versus the...
Well, yeah, like Quantico versus going out in the field and actually start moving around.
Of course. You
go with the senior agent? Or,
yes. But I'm going to tell you this. And you can imagine the type A's that they hire.
Yeah.
That stuff don't last long, man. After a while, and to some degree, it could be weeks for some people, or it could be just a few months with some people. You're like, "Hey, man, I got all this going on, but I do need somebody today. Come go with me." And I was really bad about doing, to a degree, sometimes of being wrong, doing things by myself, man. I got this, but of course, hey, I got to rest tomorrow. I need 10 guys, so something like that.
Did you feel like you had a target on your back 24/7 when you were doing this?
So that gets funny. Not at first. Little Rock was a dream.
Okay.
Dream job. And then about 4 years in, they come to me, and the border is just kind of starting to get crazy. And of course, not crazy like it is now. But so they said, "Chris, we're going to transfer you to." In fact, initially they said, "We're going to transfer you to Texas and the San Antonio division." So the San Antonio division has a couple of RAs out of the field office that get up close to Dallas. Because you know how we are. If you love where you're from, I was trying to stay, close.
House,
So I was like, "Oh yeah, Waco's one of them," or I can't remember, but something other. And they got to laughing, and they were like, "Dude, you have got Army experience, combat experience, and now you're on the FBI SWAT team. You're going to the border."
Yeah, you're going to be at the border.
Like, okay. So this guy flips a map open, and he starts going Laredo, McAllen, and then he stops. And I think he was an unbelievable older agent. He was called an ASAC at the time, which is right below an SAC. It's San Antonio, which is the highest place at San Antonio. And he says, "Chris," and I think he might have went a little vacuum cleaner salesman on me. He went, "There's this little, I know you." Of course, back to how me and you talk.
Yeah.
He goes, "I know you." He goes, "There's this little place in Del Rio, Texas. It's the one that's had such migrant problems lately." But he goes, "Man, they got the biggest lake in the world. They got hunting. They got big deer." He goes, "I got one position now down there. Like I got one. Would you be willing to go down there?" And I'm like, "Man, sign me up." And so,
he sold you on that.
Yes, 4 years. But I was answering your question.
Yeah.
Now down there, and it's a long story, DJ. But down there, I did finally get literally driving down the road on my cell phone. "Chris, go get your wife and get your kids. Get out of town and don't come back till we." And the cartels. So when I went down there, I upped my game. If you're a type A guy, I went from gangs, and I did work the Mexican mafia and pistoleros and things, but they're all tied in directly with the cartel.
Right, exactly.
So it got to be where if you want to win the fight, like, man, I'm getting one of these guys to get me to the cartel.
Right.
And so then and we've got the actual letters, or they do. I've read them. They started saying how they were going to kill me, and they got like serious. And
so they found you out.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I guess they know where you're at. How does that work? Like,
Dude,
so
that
they
is
know?
awesome. Great question.
Yeah.
Now down there, so in like a Little Rock, it would get to be where you working enough guys, the Bloods, the Gangster Disciples, the Crips, and they finally start going. Because I had one of those guys, one of those old guys that stayed in Little Rock forever. Every time I'd go up in a house, his name was Mark Stafford, and I'd go up in the house, he'd be like, "Is Mark Stafford coming?" They knew that guy like crazy. In fact, it was funny because we had a running joke. I'm gonna tell him I'm Mark Stafford. You tell him you're that. Down there it was totally different. One of the first few weeks I'm in, this gets funny too, DJ. But in that little RA at that time, it was a 3-man RA, and we had a senior guy that had been there for 8 years and was getting ready to get out of that RA. But 8 years in the Bureau still.
What's the RA stand for?
Oh, I'm sorry, resident agency.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
Shreveport's a resident agency for New Orleans
Right.
is the big office.
Gotcha.
Okay. And there's 6 or 7 throughout a state kind of deal. But so he was getting ready to get out at 8 years, but it was kind of like after 8 years of Del Rio, he'd had like 16 years in the Bureau, and they were fixing to give him wherever he wanted to go, that kind of deal. But they sent me down there, and then they sent 2, and they were awesome men. But 2, so I had 4 years in. They sent me 2, and not me, but they send 2 guys straight from Quantico. Nobody wants to go to the border. And then they say, "Chris, you've got the most time in. You're the head guy." And I got 4 years in. So, but down there, back to finding out who you were. So I was the head guy, if you will. They sent me into Mexico, the government did, at a big high-level meeting, had translators and everything, to work on crime issues, right? On the border on both sides.
Who are you meeting with? Meeting with the government, the Mexican government?
Yes.
Okay, not cartel.
Oh, no. Well, that gets funny. I guarantee there were cartels at the table.
Yeah, of course.
Well, because, man, I could do this all day, but there was a guy at the table, and I'm not going to say his name, who was the commandante.
Okay.
Not long after that, he wasn't the commandante. And 2 months after that, I never even knew it. The commandante of this town, Del Rio's sister town, is Acuna. Okay, and then that gets funny. Del Rio holds like a Midland, Louisiana population. Acuna holds a Dallas population. Right. And so during the day, Del Rio goes up from 8,000 to 20, 30, 40,000. It gets crazy. But anyway, and so all the crimes coming too. But anyway, but I'm sorry to kill that. But the FBI only goes with, but 8,000 people down there. We don't need but 3 agents.
Right. They don't look at that. Yeah.
But anyway, so I was sitting at the table with this guy talking crimes. So where do you think this guy lives? Lives in Mexico, right? And this is where it gets crazy down there. So a couple months later, I get called in the middle of the night by a local law enforcement officer. Unbelievable. "Chris, I need you to come out to Qualia Drive, blah, blah, blah." "Yep, yes, sir, I'm coming. We got, a dead body. It's cartel stuff." Okay. I get down there, and that commandante had been fired, if you will, because you can imagine why in a minute. And dude, it was 2 to the body, 1 to the head. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect military style. But it was in the United States. Yeah. He lived in the United States. He lived in the United States. Like, what the heck, man? It was a family down there, the cartel, and they were like, "We're done with that guy. He don't control it no more." Boom, 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 boom. So I was getting back at you. That day that I did that, it was funny. They had me at a table, and I had one of those cool little things like at the UN, blah, blah, blah. And they walked in 3 different times and took pictures of me, and then walked out.
So they had you.
This is over. Yes.
Yeah, they know they're selling that information.
Yes. And this is going to get crazy, DJ, but in Mexico, like when we do a wiretap, and I have to have not the wiretaps that everybody's screaming about right now, political.
Right.
The real wiretaps. I've done bought from this guy kilos, and we've met with him, and
have enough to,
we bought
to
guns, all kinds of crazy stuff. And we go up on his phone. Well, so think about this. The Mexican government can just go up on a phone. You know what I'm saying?
Anytime.
They can do whatever they want. So they go up on my phone if they want, whatever. So that's where it gets crazy, man.
Okay. Well, so how does it work, like jurisdiction or like abilities? So like you say you have a local law enforcement agency and some crazy stuff happens. Do you have jurisdiction or ability to go in there and take over the investigation.
No,
you
thank
see
you.
that
That's what happens all the time.
See all that crap.
And it makes me mad, and it's horrible. And but I'll tell you what usually happens.
They're like, state's here.
Yes.
Oh no, FBI's here. Oh no,
no,
CIA's
I gotta
here.
go. Yeah, I gotta go. No. And in fact, man, the FBI really, truly makes itself bigger through the local law enforcement officer, to be quite honest. So we're not going to be there first. The locals are. We're not going to stay there till it's in. The locals are cleaning up everything. The locals outwork the FBI 24/7. They'll have their own case file going. But now, and I could give you some exact things, and it may even be like come in for a missing child. There's no doubt this is a FBI/local case together. But when it got down to it, and whether we found the child dead or not alive, and this was something I worked for a while, and it was so horrible. Most of the time, you're going to find them dead. But really, the FBI never even had a chargeable case. This was all state stuff.
Got you.
But so when it comes down there, I give my file to the state, and the DA at the state and that local law enforcement officer, they take a part of my file, or sometimes all of my file, to the DA. But more times than not, it happens the other way around.
Right, they're your boots on the ground.
On something forever. Like, let's say the low-level dope dealer.
Right.
I get up and start messing with a bunch of bigger dudes, and we find out the low-level guys with them, and all I did, and they want me to, all I did was the local, who I've been working with on the big ones too, because I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And they come, and they give me, hey, we got these two guys too. We've already got the done. Would you indict them too, Chris? Because it's with the organization. We're not doing nothing wrong. And I go, yeah. That happens more times than not, man.
Okay. So, well, yeah, because a lot of times you'll see like, oh, well, so-and-so's taking the information or whatever. And then, like, here's another question too.
Go ahead.
Do they get credit?
The locals?
Yes.
Credit is as this. Their sheriff, like, man, I've worked with all of them. Sheriff Prater, Sheriff Julie Whitting, and they're unbelievable, man. But their sheriff knows that guy went and did that case. And then they do, like, as you can imagine, even though the United States Attorney's Office, the way me and you feel, has some serious problems, but that we're same as the FBI, if not worse. But they do, like, look, I don't have to deal with that guy in that case because their officer got a million more cases than us. We're very selective about what cases we're taking, even though we got more funding.
Yeah.
And then their officers don't have to work that case. They give it on, and then they get, usually the reason we're working them too is they get bigger sentencings. And then, as you very well know through the state, even if I seen this one time. I got a guy here in Arkansas. He got 30 years and did 3.
Right.
I went and did the almost exact same thing to him, bought a kilo of dope, and he got 10 years, but he did all 10 years.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, got you. Okay. So the prosecution is different based on the officer and house. Yeah. And yeah.
In on Fed time, it's they say day for day. You get a little bit of good time in the end if you've been good.
Right.
But it's
you're going to carry out that sentence if you get sentenced.
Yes.
So another question. So we're talking back to like cartel stuff, and dealing with the drug stuff. So of course we know that's an issue, right? Mm-hmm. There's been like what's the number one drug crossing the borders now?
Right now it's fentanyl.
Yeah, so did you deal with that a lot?
Man, I did. That was before me. Right at the end, the last big case I worked, and it's a cool case, was 2018. That was right before they make me a supervisor, and I quit working cases in 2019. And gave up all my sources to all my buddies, and then that's when the persecution began with the FBI too, man. So I'm sorry. What I was telling you was 2018. There's no doubt some fentanyl coming in. There's no doubt people are talking about it. There's no doubt we're even talking about like when you deal with regular drugs. I used to just, of course, grab a kilo of cocaine or grab a kilo of meth and go like, hold up now because that stuff is so dangerous.
Yeah.
If there was some on the side of it, you're fixing to possibly be in harm. Mm-hmm. So, but it wasn't like now. And of course, that goes back to the wide open border now.
Well, tied to that, the reason I asked is like, so you have that, but you also have a huge human trafficking issue, right?
Yes.
So do you deal with that stuff too?
Brother.
And then here's another thing I want to add on top of that too, is you have, this is some stuff I've heard about and I want to verify with you because you were there. Mm-hmm. So like, do you have these issues of these specifically like children going missing and then they're harvesting organs from these?
Yeah.
Is that all? Is that all?
Nothing about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's never happened.
Right.
But that's like low percentage stuff.
Well, because I've heard that being like something that's more sought after than human trafficking someone because there's more money in that. Human trafficking
is horrible.
Which I know that's
and it's widespread. So you're going to love this, DJ, and you didn't even know this. So when I got here, so they sent me from Del Rio to Shreveport. Mm-hmm. I get here around 2010, around 2012. The FBI, because so what happened is prostitution's, of course, the oldest profession,
right?
But with that computer right there changed. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
So the dude, good guy, works for some company, goes out of town. Before he had to know of a place to go or just happen upon the bar or talk to the taxi cab driver. Or when I say go to the place to go, meaning a track where they walk or talk to the guy, the bellhop or something. But a lot of guys wouldn't do it just for that.
Yeah.
But now, literally, and I did a great case on one of these. I would love to talk to you about that. But I did a good case on one of these things. That's on. There's about 10 companies, and they're on www.bassproshop.com.
Yeah.
This is not the dark web.
Right.
And if you clicked on the right websites, and I'm not going to give them to you, then you just sit in your house, in your room, 303 at the Holiday Inn, and you can look at their pictures, look at what they do, everything. And then if you want to flip over to a phone and start texting, that'll be the number. Or you can just hit, come to my ring.
Yeah.
A game changer.
Yeah.
The guy that wouldn't normally do that is brave enough to sit in the room. So the numbers for prostitution went up like crazy.
Yeah.
So supply and demand. So dudes started getting into it like crazy, even to the point I started hearing these conversations when I'm up on what we call a dope wire. And the guy literally who's selling major dope goes, brother, I'm fixing to switch over to these. And he uses a bad term for the girls.
Right.
Because, man, nobody's hardly looks at this, and it's more money. And I don't have the big jail time if I do get caught with the dope.
Right.
So they start going like crazy. So about 2012, the FBI asked me to head up dude, this is crazy. I even have to say this. So now I've flipped over to another squad called Violent Crimes Against Children. How sad is that, DJ, that there's a squad called Violent Crimes Against Children? So this started changing my life too, and in my head nowadays, and all kinds of stuff.
That lines it up for me. That makes a lot of sense right there too.
Lots of stuff started happening.
Puts a lot of stuff in perspective.
Yes, and so I would be working, and I'm gonna get back to that. Human trafficking on one side, the prostitution stuff. That I'd be working in the middle. Let's say if it was a line, missing kids,
right?
Violent crimes against children, and then on the end, the another horrible thing is the child porn.
But they're taking these kids and pushing them to human trafficking.
The human traffickers. Okay, so let's just go with human traffickers.
Right.
So I start getting into it. I start getting with the greatest old school vice squad in the world in Shreveport, and then there's a couple guys in Bossier City that really do old school.
So you're
vice.
working that here now. We're not talking about
here.
Anymore. So
I'm talking about here.
We're here.
In fact, I didn't work it down there.
Okay, you didn't. So
I had my hands full with the cartels.
Drugs, right.
So I got here, and so there I go back to Little Rock. Never called up a prostitute in my life, but here I did some undercover work. So the next thing you know, first of all, I had to go through we're calling a girl, and she's going to come to the hotel, and I know. So now I'm getting to be like 40 years old, but DJ, I'm still like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm with a room full of guys, and that's what we've got the operation set up. We're fixing to do it, and here she comes through the door.
So is it like so you set your operation up like room over? How's that work,
dude? So we would usually go in, and this is not a secret to anybody, but go in and definitely buy some rooms if we could, if there's any way possible. Go into a hotel and buy the whole floor, so there's no families or nobody on there. And then we would have our undercover rooms. Then we have our rooms where we take them to, and they have to fill out where they're already under arrest, fill out some paperwork.
Yeah.
And then we would usually have a big room of some type where we're holding them. And then if this gets big enough, we'll call because you just don't want to mess the hotel up. But if it gets big enough, we'll call a paddy wagon in and take 10 or 15 of them downstairs. So, because I'll tell you how bad it was. And how bad it is.
Well, I know it's. They say it was really bad because of the casinos.
Oh, casinos, but man, look, DJ, and I'm talking about myself. Men are horrible.
Yeah, of course.
So anytime you get a bunch of men together, it's nuts. So it's on the I-20 corridor.
Truckers,
you got truckers. You got casinos. People coming in and out of town. But then the Brookshire's Arena does something like, man, a rodeo will cause your prostitution go like crazy.
Shit.
Dude, I went down for New Orleans for the Super Bowl. They had me come work Super Bowl in Dallas Super Bowl. And it was through the roof, prostitutes. Every prostitute in the country, and I'm joking, is coming there.
It's like a convention.
Because there's men
there.
They're
going to make money. Yeah.
And if there's men there, we act stupid, DJ. So we set it up. We had the greatest vice guys in the world. They showed me how to do it. I didn't have a clue. Yeah. Back to the law enforcement. Local law enforcement showed me how to do this. So it got to where easy, of course, we got the money. I done got organized.
So how does that transfer work? So they come in, you call them, come to the room. They come in the room. They have to solicit to you, and then you say, okay, you're under arrest. Gotcha.
Gotcha. So, hey, but I had done got organized, I knew how to get the hotel. I knew how to get paid for the hotel. I knew how, who to call, the boys, how to set them up. We do ops plans. I got all that. And I'm in the room late one night. This is, a few months in, maybe a year in, and I'm into the room one night, and I'm looking around this full room, and I'm like, man, how can I do something other than arrest people? Mm-hmm. And now I've done got past the point, too, where it wasn't long, a month or two in, where the 16-year-old does walk through the door, Ooh. DJ. And I had the 14-year-old walk through the door. Yes. So on average, we would average about 300 to 400 arrests on this thing a year. But,
but you can't.
Most of them are going to be adult prostitutes or pimps.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you get enough prostitutes to give it a pimp up.
Or so of them are going to be in Shreveport, Bossier, and I've done it at different big cities. It gets even worse. Every time I went down to New Orleans, I was going to have at least one a day underage walk in. But we call those recoveries, even though we never get them like Disney, if you will. And I hate to even say the word Disney, but we never get them when they come in and they ain't never seen a guy before.
It's definitely not their first time.
That's like week 2 or that's like week 6 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And we get them and then we take them out. But man, let me tell you this one story. So I'm looking around this room and I'm like, how can I do something other than arrest people? I can do this all day long, right? How is it even helping? In and out, blah, 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 whatever. The pimps will pick them up from the jail, I'm like, how can I do something different? So, man, one of my favorite people in the whole world, this is what starts changing my life about 8 years ago. Almost the exact same time I start going to Christ Fit Gym, which changed my life with Billy Weatherall.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Almost the exact same time I see Billy doing Jesus in the public. And it's not that it's not the greatest gym in the world. It is.
Yeah.
But and Billy wouldn't mind saying, the gym is camouflage for Jesus.
Right.
Get them in here and let a guy like DJ work out all day long. But he's going to hear about Jesus too. But anyway, so I go around some government agencies, and they were all like, literally, can you bring them in at 8:35 in the morning? And I was like, no. And I was looking for somebody to come out with us. And none of them. But I went to 3 different ones, and every one of them said, well, you go talk to a girl named Cassie Hammett. She works downtown, and they always said the hub. So I go downtown Shreveport to the hub and knock on the door, and this girl named Cassie Hammett comes out. Cassie had just started. She'd already started the hub, which is unbelievable Christian organization for feeding homeless people.
We didn't miss anything, right? You were talking about you're sitting in the room looking around.
Yes, no, I promise you.
This just came. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, no, I know it's going to be. I promise I'll bring it back
circling back, right?
No, and you do need to check up on me sometime.
That's what I do.
I am a rabbit trail guy. Listen, you're going to love this. So I go in. Now, that Cassie's my girl that's going to help this ring. Mm-hmm. But, we've never even met. And I go in, and I just tell Cassie, I've been in the room. Well, I don't know what else to do. I've heard you're it. And she goes, oh, Chris, this is so awesome. I just started this thing called Purchased. And all we do, because, there's a million different Jesus ministries. And usually the ministries, like my man occurs, we'll do 1,000 other things. But she goes, and you get it, there's just not enough to go around. She goes, all I want to do is home in on one thing. We'll work on one thing. And that's to get victims of human trafficking out of the sex industry and into God and Jesus.
Yeah.
So, but my first question was this. I don't know if it was the first, second, or third. I'm like, girl, it just seems a little weird that you called it Purchase, because you know where I'm coming from. I just purchased the girl, right? And then she does this. This is great. Dude, you're going to love it. She says, Chris, I called it Purchased because they can't be purchased. They've already been purchased by the blood of Jesus Christ. Brother, gotcha. I broke down. I'm like, will you be on my task force?
Yeah.
Yes. So Cassie was one of the first, we call them non-government employees, non-gun toters, non-government employee, non-law enforcement. And she got true FBI blessing to do anything with us. Of course, she didn't do arrest.
Right.
But so then I started, and this was what got me in trouble with the Bureau too. Even though she won the director's award for doing this, it was such a high level. The country started using this violent crime, major offender, human trafficking squad as a model for other places.
Okay.
And Cassie was a part of that because she done so good. So girls we might pick up at 16 or at 19, we get to talk to them for a minute. So I would get my rooms, and now I'm getting Cassie a room. And it voluntarily, if they want to go to that room.
Once you catch them, you say, hey, I have somewhere you can go talk to someone.
You want help? I do.
Got you, okay.
Let me give you some help other than jail. Now, another thing I had to get through with Cassie, and you're going to love this. I was like, look, Cassie, here's my only thing about you coming out with us. Really the only thing. I want you there. We're going to have to arrest these girls.
Yeah.
And Cassie goes, I want you to, because they're going to spend 3 days in jail. And dude, listen to this, DJ. That's 3 days, on theory, 3 days without dope.
Yep.
3 days eating a good 3 meals. 3 days without a pimp.
Yeah, man. Not being taken advantage of.
Taking advantage of, no sex. Yes. Yeah. So I was like, she got it. But so then we started running through, and then I started seeing, and I've got one I could just give you that would you just die, but I'm going to do it to you really quick. The girl was 17 years old in a hotel here in Shreveport. She commits to Cassie's program. This girl, I'm not going to get ugly with it, but she's got a kid prior in life, you know what I'm saying? And just things happen, and then they got nothing, when you know the life. But anyway, she gets in Cassie's program, got no education. She gets her GED. She gets her nursing degree. She lives in another city in a home with more children now and a husband, but she got that other child back. Gotcha. Her life is productive as yours, DJ. Yeah. So Cassie does that. If they'll commit, they got to commit. It's voluntary. It's all voluntary. She does that all day long through a Jesus ministry. Yeah. She don't hide it. And there's churches that back her ministry and all. So I was giving you that, back to that room of that 300, we started helping. We started helping people, man. Okay, so that's where it started. That's where it started. So I got to see Cassie, and I don't know if you're here now, I got to see Cassie do Jesus in the public, not up in a church, right, DJ. And I'm going to tell you, I love the brick and mortar church. I do. I'm a member of one. I go to one. The statistics are falling out like crazy, and it's because what Cassie showed me, people quit doing it in the public. Yeah. So she starts showing Jesus in the public. Yeah. And first time I seen it outside the brick and mortar church, DJ. And then next thing you know, I'm seeing Billy do it at Christ Fit. Yeah. And my life changed. I want to be back to me and you wanting to spot at the big table. If we really believe in God and we really believe Jesus, and we do, I want to be a part of the big boy table now, So I started doing those things out in the public. Never cheating FBI their time, but out in the public, man. So out in the public, aside from doing it, but you were doing it within the Bureau too, right? Yeah, as far as never burning their time. Not ministering. No. But did I have a Bible on my desk? Right. Yes. Right. Did I Luke Hawkinjoss, I meet him. He's got a deal called Give 'Em Jesus. Unbelievable. Gave me another life-changing thing. He showed me how to give a man or a woman a Bible, and I could kill you with these stories, is with their name on it in gold. Yeah. And it's a game changer. Yeah. A guy that may have already given 15 Bibles, but it was a cardboard edition, said B-I-B-L-E, and it's still the living Word of God. He ain't keeping that. You give him that thing that says Chris Allen Plants on it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm not throwing that away, you know. So I'm gonna give you one really quick, but I started giving them out, but it was always voluntarily. Well, how did that start? So from the ministry stuff, I mean, from the prostitute stuff, yes, to it, you saw that and you said, okay, that kind of activated that fire, but then you were going to spread that word. Yes. And so you started handing these out outside of work. Yes, outside of work. Just to anyone, or how did that work? No. So it got to be where this is where it's funny. I'm at Billy's gym, and you're going to hear this a lot. And I had committed to doing a devotion once a week. Okay. Once a week, one of those 10, 15-minute devotions, right? Workout, yeah. Because this was early on. Billy was doing 5 devotions a day. Right. And this is one of the first times God really talked to me. And he said, hey, Chris, could you not take a devotion off Billy? I'm like, man, I can. Yeah. I was teaching Sunday school in the church. All you're doing is talking about God and Jesus story for a little bit. And they're real short. And so I started doing one a week before we worked out. And for Luke Hawkinjoss is in the crowd. And a lot of times, like what they got mad about, it's what I do, man. I'm around people that are criminals. Yeah. So I would never embarrass anybody or never talk about stuff stupid, but I would see something cool about God and Jesus in it, and I would convert that to devotion about God and Jesus and Bible scripture to what happens at the end.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you one just real quick, and you'll love it. But from that, Luke says, gosh, Chris, he goes, you're around some people that, I mean, that's who we need to get the Bibles to. Would you think about giving the Bibles to them? And I go, man, I'll tell you, if I'll ask them if they want a Bible, I'll get them a Bible.
Gotcha.
So that's where I started that thing, and it blew up.
Right. That's where it started. You started these people in this side of the fence, on the work side of the fence.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. So, and man, I'm gonna tell you, we got unbelievable salvations from that. You give a man you call it right timing or not. He's fixing to go away for 22 years. You gave him a Bible. Next thing you know, he finds it in sale without no cell phone, without no TV, without no magazines.
Yeah.
And then that's when I get the guy that literally came to me, looks me in the face and says, thank you for giving me that Bible. It saved my life. Mm-hmm. I've got God and Jesus now. I'm a Christian. Like, all right, man.
Yeah. So how does this lead to the Bureau wanting to let you go?
Yeah. So the Bureau, sometime around 2018, starts talking to me. Well, you know what? I think the first time they talked to me was when I got to be supervisor in 2019. I had the Bible on the desk.
Yeah.
And I've always had a Bible on the desk. It was the Bible that my mama gave me when I was 17 to go off in the Army. That Bible's been all over the world in states and all kinds of stuff. And I always had it on my desk, and I always had it open to usually Psalms 91, but whatever. And so I finally get, DJ, this is going to be stupid to you, but I had always been a cubicle guy, and you finally get a real office,
Okay. Where was your office at?
Here in Shreveport.
Okay,
here in Shreveport, I want to know where in Bossier, but I'm sorry, Shreveport. And I had finally got an office for the first time, and I know that's stupid, but I'm getting on 50, and I got an office, and my wife, I'm telling you, I had lived the real Bureau life. I had really put dudes in jail that had got life sentences and 50-year sentences, and there were cases that you would just love to hear about, not made up stuff, not nothing political, right. Blah, blah, blah. And so she had went on her own and made me some cool, the posters, behind the glass, and there were newspaper write-ups or pictures of my cases and stuff, and I'd put those. And so I was the real guy, because you don't get a lot of these. FBI supervisors had real cases, and I had the real pictures of the SWAT, and I know I'm being a little prideful maybe, but that was neat to me. And
it also gives respect to those officers too.
Dude, you would think when you walk in, like, dang, because I used to have one at Little Rock like that. Yeah. And he had the picture of him with the 30 kilos, I'm like, I want to do that, And he did. He taught me how to do that. And I did that. 30 kilos, 100 kilos, 350 kilos, 500 kilos. Man, I was killing it for a while. But anyway, so, and the arrest of these violent guys. But anyway, so, so they were like, hey, and they always did this until the end. I never got it, DJ. Me and you don't live our lives like this. They always did it in person, one-on-one, or on the phone. That never came back around to the end. Right. Nothing documented, right? This is even funny. The day they cut me loose, I had never had a bad file review, as it called. You know what I'm saying? And we get 4 of them a year. And most of them were always at the highest level. Yeah. Excellency is what it's called. Almost all of mine were excellent, and they had awards and citations that came with them. So, you would think even, dude, we got to get this guy a bad file review. No, they're past that. So they said, hey, man, need you to take that Bible off your desk? You're supervising people that don't believe in that now. I'm like, man, I'm not pushing that on nobody, but here's my problem, brother. And I did this with the school board last night. God told me to put my Bible on my desk. Yeah. Peter and John literally told the government of their time, the Pharisees, they said, stop talking about Jesus. And they had put them in jail. So they're the government. They got arrest powers. They got trial powers. And Peter and John said, we must obey God rather than man. Back to DJ, are we really in this or not? So I said, man, God told me to put that Bible on this. So they went away from that, if you will. I thought they were going away. Go ahead,
let me
DJ.
ask you this, because you were such a yes man for so long. What made you against the grain all of a sudden?
God and Jesus. And,
right.
Me dealing with Cassie now.
Dealing with that transition, you just like, it's in my life. I got to spread it.
I can't hang up with this no more. And hey, DJ, I've been a Christian since the 3rd grade, and I really believe I have. But I'm starting to truly, I'm not saying I'm saved any more than anybody is.
Right.
I'm starting to truly believe what me and you've been reading for 50 years, And no, I can't do that. That's what's wrong with the country. Men have stopped saying yes to Jesus. They say no all the time.
You have more conviction.
Way more conviction.
Exactly.
That was a better way.
Yeah, for this point in your life, you have more conviction than you did 20 years ago.
No doubt, DJ.
Right.
That was a better way. It's a good word.
Right.
So I said no to that. Then came back around to the Devos.
So you were doing that?
I did that during work day for a 10 or 15-minute Devo. But check this out.
Okay.
We get 3 hours a week on the books to work out.
Okay.
So really, you're talking about the 10 to 15-minute Devo, the
right.
prayer and Devo that you've seen, you're a part of. But, we also get, and I'm just going to go there. It gets stupid. We get 45-minute lunch.
Right.
So I was like, that 15 minutes is part of my lunch. But we don't work 8 to 5 jobs. We don't clock in.
No,
you might work literally 24 hours for 3 weeks in a row. Then you might work a couple of 8 to 5 days, and then that's where we never got back to that. Where you got to, if you do something in the field, you got to go spend 3 days of paperwork in the office typing it all up. Yep. And I know the show would be boring. Wendy, my wife, tells me all the time, we can't show a guy doing a report for 3 days. No. But they show, action. Dude, if you get action, you're facing go top of the field.
Reports.
But God, DJ, we're talking about the.
You're talking about so you went. Bible on Desk told you
yes,
how to do
Bible on Desk, transferred
devotions.
the Devos. I thought that was 15 minutes of lunch, if you want to call it that. But I ain't going to lie, man. At what time of the day am I not an agent? I'm a human being, a Christian.
Right.
And the FBI will tell you, DJ, maybe what you say, they'll tell you you're an agent 24/7.
Yeah.
You can't be an agent 24/7.
No, you got to live.
I'm Chris Plants at
right.
some time.
Right.
And really, you're Chris Plants when you're the agent. You know
right.
what I'm saying? So I said, so I don't know if you take that 15 from me late in the day or early in the morning. I don't know where you get that 15, but it's 15 minutes too. And it's let's go back to the child porn that messed my head all up. This is they called it EAP. This is helps me, and I told Billy that before. This is where I get back right in the head. So man, or a proverbial,
But you were doing that. You weren't doing. You doing that at the office, or you were doing that at the gym?
Oh, I was doing it at the gym.
So they had an issue with you doing that at the gym.
Yes.
What?
Because
how did they find out about it?
Oh, this was awesome.
I guess they know everything.
No, well, I guess so. I'm sure somebody told them about it, and then they started watching. Billy puts them out on Facebook Live, and I didn't care, DJ. I didn't care a bit.
Okay.
And I told him he could. He asked me.
Gotcha.
I said, "You can."
Okay.
And so that's where and so I didn't even realize that they started watching them on Facebook Live. Man, I didn't even know they were doing.
Were you talking about?
That's where it starts getting tricky.
Were you talking about stuff that affected you in those things?
Oh yes, big time.
So they probably didn't like that either.
They didn't like that.
Okay.
They didn't like a lot of. Anytime I mentioned the FBI, this was funny. They got to talking about. I did one time, and I mentioned it like this. I was on the SWAT team forever, and I was talking about being somewhere one day. It all came back to God and Jesus and what happened, but I said, hey, we're on the stack getting ready to go in. Have you been law enforcement or the Army?
Me, no.
So
but
you know what a stack is?
Yeah.
You know what a stack is, DJ?
It's all of you
lined up to go, right?
Yeah.
So when they were most mad at me and trying to fire me, they said I mentioned the word stack. I'm like, dude, everybody in the world knows what a stack is. It's on every movie in the world. Yeah. But this is even funny. You can go to YouTube and Google, proper ways to do a stack or whatever. Yeah. There's a million law enforcement officers doing it on YouTube. Right. But anyway, so yes, those are the things. They were getting mad at me about terms they said, things like that. Man.
Well, that was just a way to probably stack up something against you, right?
That's exactly what they were doing, because they were trying to get rid of God and Jesus. Right. Is what they were trying to do. And they got the I don't hate nobody. Sin is sin. I got sin in my life, DJ. But they're really, really going toward the LGBTQ community. So God and Jesus is not for that.
We're a woke situation within the Bureau now.
You don't need this, but this will get to that point really quick, and believe it or not, with me, stories. But I got a call from the head man in New Orleans. I've since found out this wasn't even a real deal. They were trying to see what I was going to say, and because it did make a little nonsense in Shreveport. He says, Chris, we got a big group of people, transgenders, meeting in Shreveport. I need you to go there and talk to somebody about applying to the FBI. And I was like, sir, I can't do that.
Well,
but
just because they wanted some diversity.
Yes. But my point is that, and I'm gonna tell you, man, straight up, if you don't know, you're fixing to get it. I don't hate that person,
right?
But I'm telling you, you do not want that person as an agent. You don't want a man or woman that's got to walk through a door and make a decision about killing somebody.
If they don't even know if they don't even know who they are as individuals.
That's what I said.
Exactly.
That's what I said.
I mean, no. Look, nothing against that community.
No,
Right,
but like, if you don't know who you are.
So now you're at this point. You're using a. So now at this point, they're trying to recruit people for a political agenda of just trying to not offend anyone instead of the agenda of trying to protect this fucking country.
Amen. No, you're right, DJ.
I get amped up by this stuff. Sorry.
It's all good. You're right. You're right.
So that's where it's at. So that happened, and you refused to do that.
I refused to do that.
Okay.
I refused to put up. This is funny, and I had seen them for years and years. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years back. There again, I don't hate the gay person at all.
Right.
I wished they were at the church every time, with me, listening about God and Jesus. But it goes back. So why would I even have to have a gay pride month? You don't have many other months.
Yeah.
Heterosexual God and Jesus marriage month. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So every month, and they did professional flyers like your boy would do.
Yeah.
And they put them up all over the office. Gay Pride Month, Gay Pride Month, Gay Pride Month, all over.
Okay.
And so they, when I had got to be a supervisor, were sitting in dust, dust settling them on when they were like,
so you were just,
we need to get those out.
So this makes more sense because I always wanted to know. I've been wanting to know, but I wanted to wait until you tell me. So basically, you had your beliefs and they had a political agenda, and you didn't want to adhere to that. I couldn't
do it, baby.
And so that's what probably kind of built up this of saying, hey, look, we don't want you here anymore.
You got to go.
And so when did they tell you that? When were you dismissed from the office?
You're going to love this. March the 3rd, and I know this because you're going to know exactly why, but March the 3rd, I come in to do one of my devos, and I don't know if you know him, but I bet you do. Mark Rohde at Bossier, Men of Courage.
Yeah.
So, and I've started one now.
Right.
So what happened was there again at Christ Fit, dude, you start working out with Christian Lions, and things start changing.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to give you this one thing, DJ, not that I had never done it before, but you're not the guy at the proverbial water cooler talking about, man, she's beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're talking about real Christian stuff all day, and with super strong guys. And that helps you get away from some of the other stuff that I might have a problem with.
Right.
But so Mark Rohde, have you been to a Men of Courage before, DJ?
No, I haven't. I need to come visit. But
please don't worry about it. I was telling you because I'm fixing to tell you.
Right.
And you're going to maybe forget. Mark Rohde, and he knows all this. Me and him are brothers. But he says, I want you to come to a Men of Courage with me. He puts it on at Bossier, at the stable. It's phenomenal. But when he asked me, DJ, and Billy asked me to do the Christ Walk, I did the same thing. I said, no, for the first one. But anyway, I know. I can see your eyes like,
what,
really?
You said no?
I thought it was weird.
Okay.
Oh, I hadn't got to where I'm at now.
Gotcha,
I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
And then and I'm killing you with switching stories, but on that crosswalk one, when I told him no and didn't show up, the next whole year, I couldn't wait for the next crosswalk because I'm like, I got to do this. And I knew I disappointed God.
Yeah. And
it wasn't weird. And that'd be take another story, but you ought to hear my first crosswalk. But I'm not. But my point is, I will later if you want to. But my point is, so I was still in that. That's weird ministry. That's taboo. I'm not doing that. So Mark Rohde, as you all know, it's a man of courage. It's a men's night. So I don't know if it was that or what, but I'm like, this is weird, right? And I'm not asking you to be weird with it, but I'm like, but I went. Actually, I skipped a couple. And Mark Rohde's doing Mark Rohde. Man, come eat fried fish with us at Men of Courage, Yes, sir. And I went, and as soon as I went, DJ, and he don't talk to me like I'm talking to you before you get the straitjacket out on me, but he talks to my heart, and now he talks like really clear to my heart. God said, Chris, I want you to take this Men of Courage to Webster Parish. It'll do good. I want you to do it there for me.
Yeah.
But then I went through about a year. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not a pastor. I don't got no money. I got 4 kids, blah, 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 But then when I did, and now I'm going to stop, but dude, it is no joke. God and Jesus and the community doing unbelievable things. You got to see a little bit of it at the barbecue thing. We're all about different stuff out in the community.
Well, you've also affected people that are close to my life, too, in positive manner. So I'm grateful for you for that.
Thank you, buddy.
But, all that being said, you said that happened in May, March.
May. I'm sorry. God, you got to get me back.
Yeah, no,
you got to get me back, baby.
I'm here for.
So May the 3rd, I go in and I did a Devo. May the 3rd, 2021. No, you know what? I'm sorry, March the 3rd, 2021. And that Devo's out there. And I said, hey, Rohde, brother. And all the Devo was about saying yes to God. I'm fixing to do this.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know people were watching. I didn't know. I ain't gonna lie to you. You mess with me, and I'm glad I didn't have we're fixing to fire you. You know what I'm saying? But things are building up, and later on I got all the paperwork was building up. But I never had that moment, and I'm kind of glad I didn't have that moment, DJ, because that would have been a tough, ooh, am I doing this or not? So don't put too much credit on me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I never seen that steamroll coming. And March the 9th, they call me in, but this is how horrible they are, this one thing. They did it to me a couple different times. I met with them 2 times, and it was because they lied to me both times and said, why? We need to speak to you. So, and it wasn't like I wasn't going to the office that morning, but they said, we had something go down, a shooting thing, blah, blah, blah. We need to come in. We're doing a big talk about it, everything. I'm going to need you here. You know, I'm going to have some bigger guys here.
Yeah. And
I come into the office, and I knew immediately, even though I had not ever done anything criminally wrong, of course, the first thing you get is, I see the different guys in the office. They're in my office. I took over my office, and I know this gets stupid, DJ, but they're sitting in my chair, you know.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that won't go, dude, what are you know, I don't care who you are. Why are you in my chair? And that Bible was on the desk, and the first thing they asked me, and it hurt, DJ, because even though I'm fixing to tell you what they told me, but I'm still thinking all the way through this meeting, this is a mistake. I even told the man, I'll be back in 2 days, because he wanted to get me to clear my office out, but he said, Chris, are you armed? And I'm like, yes, sir, I'm armed, of course. He goes, would you give us your gun? I'm like, yes, sir. And he goes, would you give us your bat? Yes, sir. Would you give us your creds? Yes, sir. Would you give us your phone? Yes, sir. You know what? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Guys like me, yeah. And I hadn't done nothing. But so then they lay out some things they've done that they even, there was 2 of them that they charged me the accusations, what they call them that day. 2 of them were criminal, like crazy criminal. I had nothing to do with them. They threw them out almost immediately. These were ways to get me out of the office. These were ways and you'll see the guys too now that are with Jim Jordan and stuff at Congress. They did them the same way. This was a way for them to take care of my security clearance.
Right.
Chris has possibly committed a crime. So, and you would even get it. Let's take away the security clearance. I never got that back. But if you don't have a security clearance, you can't do anything for us.
You can't do anything.
Bye.
Yeah.
So they tell me to hit the trail at first on suspension. But listen to this part that day. This is going to be rough. That guy, he wasn't the one that talked to me about the Bible, but he said, Chris, we're going to need you to pack up all your stuff. Man, I had been a supervisor for almost a year. You know how offices get.
Yeah.
And I'm hurting worse than I've hurt ever before, DJ. And I know if I gave you some stories, and I know you've been in the octagon, but I'm hurting worse than anything ever. I had to tell my legs to move that day. Please get up. Please. I didn't even know if I told them they would do it. And you may not get in none of this. I would think, I've never been there. The first count, like get up, you know. And I'm literally trying to do that, and I was shaking, even though I ain't done nothing wrong. It's just it don't matter. And you're thinking about going home to the wife. That was total another thing. She don't have a clue this is coming, you know, and I didn't have a clue this was coming. But he said, pack up, and I said. And I never was ugly because really I thought I was coming back. There was a time now I look back on it and I'm still glad I didn't, thank God. But, if it was going to go out this way, I would have went Cotton Valley a minute and maybe thrown some stuff. But I still think I'm coming back in 2 days. This is nuts.
Right.
Which is the stories we live right now. But this is nuts.
Yeah.
And I knew I hadn't done the things he's talking about too. And he said, pack up. And I'm like, sir, it would take me like 2 hours, to back and forth. I'm like, there's so much stuff in here. I'm like, man, I ain't feeling good. I'm hurting. I ain't never told a man something like that for DJ. We just don't do that. And I go, I can't pack this office up. I'm going to leave, and they had already told me I was leaving. It wasn't like I'm deciding to leave. And he says, well, I tell you what, get that Bible off your desk and leave. And you could go and you wouldn't, DJ. Like, well, you should have just said, leave. Of course, my boys, leave that Bible on there, like make them take it off. But this was the Bible my mama had bought me. It had things wrote in it. I'd had it since I was 17. I did get that Bible and leave, man. Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
It hurt. Yeah, that was it. Well, I seen them one more time. They asked to come to my house. They said they hadn't. Then they didn't. We didn't go over your. We didn't go over your veteran status. I had different rights as a veteran, and they didn't go over those that day. They messed that up, but. They said that we just need to come out to your house to go over your veteran status. And this was the last time. And you get me once, you get me twice, DJ. And I'm mad at myself for the second time. And I was like, yeah, come out to my house. They sent 2 guys out. All they did was to send me, we're going to quit paying you. You're not just suspended with pay, you're suspended without pay. And then that led into about a month ago. Did you have,
when they said they were coming to your house, did you think, well, maybe they're going to let me come back?
Dude, I thought they were fixing to clear everything.
So you were excited, and then they come there and hit you again.
I thought we were fixing to get it all.
So they knocked you on the head again.
Yes, and then they knocked me again. Yeah. And then they lied to me while they were coming. They have nothing to do with veteran status.
Right.
Like, what the heck? So then I made it up in my mind. I've never met with them since then. I got a lawyer now that she's met with them.
Right.
But I don't meet with them anymore, man. And I'm officially fired now. Gotcha. About a month ago. So this is just funny stuff, DJ. If you was going to fire somebody, and you do have a business, if you was going to fire somebody, man, in the world we live in, you're fired. Like, you know,
right.
Or let's go crazy. 2 weeks, you're fired.
Yeah.
So this has been going on for over a year and a half, and that gets back into how crazy this is. Lawyers and everybody are having to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we really fire this guy or not fire this guy?
Yeah.
And, of course, they finally got enough to go, well, we think we can really fire this guy. And, well, you know, we'll see what happens with all that, man.
Well, dang. Well, it's powerful that now you're doing something different.
I'm doing something completely different.
Right.
I'm living my life.
Completely different.
Isaiah 6:8 says this. DJ and I had Isaiah 6:8 memorized from the Army, but I used it for a different thing to motivate me for the Army and what we're doing. And you'll get it when you hear it. But now I do it really for God and Jesus. I walk this world every day as best I can for God and Jesus. What do you want me to do today? And those things are crazy and they're different and they're hard.
Yeah.
But Isaiah 6:8, God was saying, "Whom shall I send and who will go for us?" And Isaiah said, "Here am I. Send me." And that's what I do every day, and it ain't fun.
Yeah.
It ain't fun, DJ.
Well, y'all are doing some good stuff. You've been doing, I've been seeing just from 1,000-foot view, you are doing like a lot of stuff for disabled people.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So that was one of the ministries that got started from, I had started Men of Courage. Hundreds of men are coming. Men that won't come to a church, DJ.
Yeah, they just don't want to.
It's fine.
Yeah,
they just don't want to anymore. And I'm not fussing them to them. I just beg. This is what I beg them.
Yeah.
But can you come eat a chicken fried steak with me that I'm buying for you and hear some cool Christian songs and possibly win a case pocket knife door prize and hear a preacher that's phenomenal. They're all phenomenal. They're different dudes, different breeds like Luke Hawkinjoss, Mark Rohde, and then walk out. And you don't owe nothing. Now, we got some buckets at the end if you want to throw some money in and do it. But so from that, I'm in there one night. So I've learned now, most older people, me and you ain't got that old yet, or you're not old at all, but anyway, they go from walking one day, you're 98, you go from walking one day, and you sit down that night, and the next day you can't walk.
Yeah.
Well, you ain't got your house ready for no wheelchair ramp. They need it instantly. And you know what? All those people, all they're getting is Social Security every month. They can't pay for no wheelchair ramp. And then, the world we live in right now, DJ, you can't get no carpenters out.
Yeah.
And if they do, lumber prices have went up 300%, right? So I was sitting in there one night, and a man comes to me about one of his brothers that's a veteran, has fought in Vietnam, and has some medical issues from all that, but he's been living his life for another 50, 60 years. But it finally caught up with him, went over to the VA in Shreveport. They're like, dude, we're going to take his leg off.
Yeah.
Well, and I know it's different, but he left that house walking.
Didn't come back,
Going to come back in a wheelchair. And so he said, Chris, we'd never built a wheelchair ramp before. Would you? But this is, we do what God and Jesus tells us to do.
Yeah.
It don't matter what it looks like. It don't matter what it's called. It does matter to the cost to some degree because I only get so much. Yeah. But anyway, so I was like, we'll build they had me at veteran. We'll do a wheelchair ramp. And then so we went out, we built our very first one. Joe was the first man's name. I can't think of his last name right now. And then he come back home a week later and he had a wheelchair ramp, man. It didn't. So we do this. It don't cost nobody a dime. And then it blew up. I had no clue. We did it for a week ago. There was 2 90-year-olds. The woman. So another thing, and I should have known this from crime, but so the old people get scammed a lot.
Oh yeah, man, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
So bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Like whether it's roofs or driveways
so
or whatever,
bad.
right?
Yeah.
So she, her daughter had gotten me in touch with her. So she had called me, and we talked on the phone. We always go by. I mean, I got to figure out what we need, how much lumber we need. I got a man named Lane Hedrick from Cotton Valley that runs that for me. I can't keep all this stuff going, DJ. And but you know, I'll be like, hey, here's the address. He goes by, meets them, gets his ideas together. He's my senior wheelchair ramp engineer, and he goes by and gets the lumber. And we pay for the lumber. He goes by and gets it, and then we'll come up with we do one tomorrow for a guy named Reagan Hardaway that was burned up in Cotton Valley real bad. There was 3 boys that were burned. We're going to do a free one for him tomorrow. But he says, you know, can we meet? We meet. We pull up with men. So let me tell you the awesome fellowship part. So you're not just sitting on a pew no more. To some degree, men hate just sitting on pews if you're really into this. You want to hang out. Like Billy's Gym. Yeah. You fellowship through working out together, right?
Right.
Well, so you'll get these dudes show up. They enjoy driving screws and hitting hammers. Yeah. Well, they're talking about God and Jesus. They're serving Jesus for these people. It's all together. Yeah. And they didn't just sit on a pew, man. In fact, some of them don't even never sit on pews. Right. Do I want them to? Yeah. You know, that's a whole other thing, DJ. But so this woman was like, Chris, what am I going to owe you? What am I going to owe you? What am I going to owe you? And I finally, we were there. We're outside. And she's asking me again on the porch. And I was like, ma'am, you see all that wood? And like, yes, on trailer, yes. You see all these men? Yes. You see all these tools out here? Yes. We're going to make you a ramp. And then we're going to clean up. And then you see all these trucks. Everybody's going to get in their truck. All of this trailer will be gone. We will be gone. We won't talk to you again unless you come outside. And you don't know it's a dime. And she said, oh, my gosh, y'all are doing this. Y'all are not just talking about this. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yeah. We should know nothing. Now, I can't do every one that way. And now I'm getting calls literally in Shreveport. Going, and you can fuss at me, DJ, but I'm like, sir, I can't come to Shreveport. You know, somebody in Shreveport.
Not yet.
Not yet. God bless you, DJ.
Not yet, man.
God bless you,
will
man.
Be able to.
God bless you, brother.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we do that. We have, you know, beside, of course, number one, the men that have come to know Christ that will call me and meet me at a deer camp. Yeah. And again, they're not walking that. They're not walking that aisle, DJ. You understand that? Yeah. It don't matter. You ain't got to walk that aisle. But we'll meet at a deer camp. I'm going to give you one really quick. I meet this guy, and the reason I'm going to give you this, you're going to get it. But we meet in the middle of nowhere, out in the woods. And he you know, he's like, man, Chris, I don't know if I'm saved. I need to get saved. I was like, man, have you ever asked Jesus in your heart? No. I was like, you believe in God? Yes. You believe Jesus is his son? Yes. You believe he died on the cross for your sins? Yes. You believe he rose on the 3rd day? Yes. There was no knowledge thing going on here. You know what I'm saying? He knew all this. I didn't have to do nothing. Of course, God doing it through me. But I was like, so you've sinned and you need Jesus in your heart and you need forgiveness of sins? Yes. But you just never asked him into your heart? No, I've never asked him. Like, brother, so I'm fixing to do a prayer. It don't mean nothing unless you do it. It's easy. We just went back over that, DJ. You know, like, hey, Jesus, I believe in you. I believe you're God's son. I believe you died. And, you know, I do a little bit, and then he'd say it. I go, it don't mean nothing unless you say it. I say, so I got to the sin part. And this is the first and only time it's ever happened, DJ. And I didn't ask for this. I said, I've sinned, and I'm asking for forgiveness of sins. And then he starts doing it, and I'm not going to say, and there ain't nothing that I hadn't done. Oh, I'm telling you. He starts breaking them down. Yeah. And DJ got to me. Whew. I start weeping, man. Yeah. And he's weeping. He's sucking it up. Big old field, you know, out in the wood. We're just weeping. Yeah. Ain't nobody here to see this. And he accepts Christ. Yeah. And through men of courage, if you will. God does all that. But he ain't been in no church since then, and I wished he would. Yeah. But he's not going to be that guy. Yeah. But he learns about God and Jesus at men of courage. But so we do that. Marriages have been saved. Dudes have literally, I'm going to give you another crazy one. They will show up on meth to eat a chicken fried steak with me. Of course. They're not showing up at church to do that. Yeah. And the guy comes up after one, he goes, man, I need some prayer. And I'm like, okay, brother, what are we praying for? He goes, I got to get off this meth. And I'm going to tell you, Chris, I did an 8-ball before I come up in here. And I'm like, it's fine. Let's pray right now. You know, that guy went into detox at a clinic the next day and got out. There you go. But we give in Webster Parish, which is a small parish, we had 2 law enforcement officers last year killed in the line of duty. And we gave their widows a pretty good bit of money. But DJ, that's what I'm saying. You see me at the barbecue thing. My barbecue was horrible.
No, you won
Yours
something.
was awesome.
You won something. I didn't.
I won a 3rd place price in chicken.
I didn't win nothing.
DJ, my brisket looked like horse meat from Mexico. It moved like a Jello mold.
Yeah.
And y'all's was just so clean. But anyway, so I just did that to hand out Bibles and talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna kill you one more time, but at the end of that, I was tired and it was hot. I'd never done that before. That turned out to be work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's hot too.
Yep. And it's 2 days of straight cooking.
You know how it goes. I was done, but I hadn't cleaned up yet or took nothing home. I had done got tired, and I was coming out of I think we had turned brisket in. Let's say 3:00. I was smoking hot. I was tired. I'd done the thing. Why am I here today? And these Bayou Door Cheat sent some dudes out to clean the street.
Yeah.
And I walk out, and I done gave out a bunch of Bibles. You've seen me do it. But I was like, hey, boys, y'all got a Bible? No. So I give them all a Bible, go on about my way. Then I go to 2 weeks later to pick up some lumber at a lumber yard. And this one, like most of them, you go down to the yard after you've ordered, and then they'll have a guy walk you around and put the boards on for you. And I go down there and I get out, and it's 1,014 degrees. And this guy has been in that. I don't know how they do it, walking around doing boards all day. And he was a dude, DJ, even you, and you are unbelievable good looking. But he's another head taller than you, and he looks like you, you know. And he's doing the boards. And I got one of those moments, and God said, ask this guy if he wants a Bible, Chris. I don't say no anymore, but I fuss still. And I'm like, really? I'm on the end of boards. We're doing that, right? And it's hot. And he doesn't look very happy. And I'm like, right now, yes, sir. So I go, hey, buddy. He stopped. Hey, buddy, would you like a Bible? And he's super nice to me. I don't know why we get so scared, but he goes, man, you know what? I got a Bible at my grandma's house. I think I'm good. I said, okay, yes, sir. And then I do about 3 boards DJ, and then I do the other stupid thing. God, what the heck, man? You think I wanted to do that today? Which, who are we to talk like that? But he stops. I got my board in hand. It's like, angled down, stop. Like, he's looking at me hard. And he says, man. And then it was so funny, like I was going to take that away. But he was, and you're going to get this. He goes, can I still have that Bible? He said, man, it's going to be a long time since I see that house, and I might never see that Bible again. And I do want a Bible. And I'm like, so this is what I do. So on my side, it's so funny. It's like, can he still do this? On my side, I'm like, greatest thing in the world, right? We just, boom, the angels are singing. So I run in my deal, and I want to put a man's name on it like DJ, but if we can't, I got Bibles that say Webster Parish Men of Courage and give them Jesus on them. Yeah. And that's as personable as I can make them. So, which is pretty dang neat. And now people kind of ask for those Bibles now. It's kind of cool. But so I want to take it out of the sleeve because I want to show him it's a nice leather Bible. Got nothing to do with money. I love you. I'm fixing to give you something nice. Yeah. And I pull it so before they throw it away, so I pulled it out of the sleeve, and I'm like, hey, I just want to show you really quick. It's a nice leather Bible, but it's got this on for you. And he says, are you Chris Plants? And I was like, oh my gosh, and then some of the old days come in, you're like, I'm just getting killed. So I said, I am Chris Plants. He said, man, about 2 weeks ago, one of my buddies got one of these Bibles. No, I'm sorry, he didn't say buddies. He said, I'm going to get this right. He said, about 2 weeks ago, now this guy's in regular clothes and all. The program is genius. I got to give Webster Parish and Jason Parker this. He said, about 2 weeks ago, my cellmate got this Bible. It's the exact same Bible.
So he's on work release.
He's on work release.
Got you.
And you would never know it.
Yep.
And he's unbelievable. His name's Jamie. He talked to me this morning on the phone. Mm-hmm. He's gotten out. He said, my cellmate got this Bible, and he told me about you. And he said, I said, I'm sorry, Jay. He said, I have been so jealous. For 2 weeks, I've been sitting in that cell with him, and he's been reading his Bible. Yeah. And I wanted one of those Bibles so bad. Yeah. DJ, I couldn't have done that if you'd have told me, hook up with this cellmate. Right. Much less like that. Yeah. And now he's got that Bible. And he's out on the outside. He's introduced me to, I'm going to say a term, baby's mama. And she's got one of our Bibles. And she has come to Women of Courage that we started in Webster Parish. And he's coming to Men of Courage.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
That may have been way more than you
No,
wanted, DJ.
but we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Dude, you tell me when.
But I'll say this: you've done a lot of things in your life, a lot of interesting things.
Yes, you have to.
You put a lot of bad people away, and you bring a lot of them back to the light. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your honesty and your courage, sir.
Brother, thank you for letting me talk about God and Jesus today. Thank you,
All right,
sir.
that's a wrap.
Love you, DJ.
Love you too, man.